From CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida, and this week a bipartisan group of congressmen and women will be visiting Parkland so they can tour the building where the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting occurred more than 5 years ago. The building is exactly the way it was after the shooting. The blood and bullet holes remain. The congressional delegation is coming at the invitation of Republican Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart and Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz, who was a state representative for Parkland when the shooting occurred. Now, I asked Moskowitz why he wanted to bring his colleagues to visit such a grisly site.
Thanks, Jim. We sent a bipartisan letter, me and Mario Diaz-Balart, on behalf of the school safety caucus that we established up here in Washington, D.C., inviting members of both parties, the entire Congress, to Parkland, to the freshman building at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, to take a tour of that building. As you know, that building is still up because they use it in the trials. It's still mostly in the same condition it was just like the day after the shooting on February 14th. What I'm hoping to accomplish is similar, Jim, to what we accomplished just days after the shooting when I invited members of the Florida legislature and the Speaker of the House, then Richard Corcoran, and the Appropriations Chairman, and then members of the Florida Senate came to the school and saw what it looked like. And that made them understand that we needed to take action to prevent something like that, which led to the passing of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas School Safety Act. I'm not naive. I don't think that members are going to come see this and then tomorrow we're going to start working on legislation. But I think it's a critical piece of this that they have to see what happened there. They have to see what the families went through. They have to see what the community has gone through. Because I think going back 5 years and remembering what it was like to see the school together on a bipartisan basis with my colleagues then in the Florida House, it reminded us all as parents that no parent in this country should have to worry about sending their kid to school and then now coming home.
What kind of a response are you getting, or do you expect? How many members of Congress do you think will come down for the visit?
We're still adding people every day. Right now, I can tell you it's a bipartisan trip. We have Democrats and Republicans coming from around the country. Obviously, it's in our August recess. People are taking codels. But I think we're going to have a good group of members that, from both sides of the aisle, from different areas of the country, coming to see the school.
More than likely, though, aren't you just going to be preaching to the choir? Isn't a member of Congress who's likely to come down for this sort of trip probably already supportive of many of the gun issues that you advocate for?
Well, sure, Jim, there's going to be people who already agree with us, but there are people coming who actually disagree. And when I say disagree, I mean previously they have not voted for certain measures that we've been advocating for. So, look, this whole trip is not so that we can get them in Parkland and get them into a room and start hammering them on policy. This trip is to shock the conscience of somebody so that they can visualize what the community went through, what the school went through, what the families went through, and what the families are continuing to go through every single solitary day. And so that's why I'm asking them to come see it. When you see a school shooting on TV, they show it from 1,000 feet away from the building. You don't see what it really looks like. And I just think that is a powerful image that is happening too often in this country. And unless our elected leaders start to really see it, to understand what it actually looks like, perhaps it moves the needle a little bit, Jim. That's all I got to do here. I just got to move the needle a little bit. Every little thing we can do, every little mitigation step we can take saves a life. And so that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
It was more than 5 years ago that the Parkland tragedy took place, and the Florida legislature passed legislation, in part due to your efforts, that had restricted gun rights in a way that the state of Florida had never done before. But 5 years is a long time. I often wonder if something like Parkland happened today, given the politics in Florida 5 years after the Parkland tragedy, would we actually get anything accomplished? What do you think?
Look, I don't know. It's tough to answer that, because had you asked me on February 13th if I could pass the bills that passed the laws that I passed on February 14th 5 years ago, I would have told you no. because we had Pulse, if you remember, and my Republican colleagues wouldn't even go into special session to address what happened in Pulse. And so to raise the age to 21 in the state of Florida, to pass 3-day waiting periods, red flag laws, which have now been used 9,000 times. We were only a handful of states at that time that had passed red flag laws, SROs in every school, mental health counselors in every high school, hundreds of millions of dollars for school hardening and school safety. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission that has followed up on its continued work. I mean, it was monumental legislation, not just for the state of Florida, but some of the most serious legislation passed in the country at the time. Remember, we raised the age to 21 3 to 4 years before New York and Rhode Island did. And so it's tough to know those things, Jim. I think Parkland was so shocking. I think the students from the school and the parents on a bipartisan basis coming and engaging with lawmakers made a huge difference. And the leaders of at that time met the moment. I mean, they met the moment. Look, you know Richard Corcoran, he's no progressive. He's an A+ rated member of the NRA. You know Rick Scott, he's no progressive, right? He's an A+ rated member of the NRA. These gentlemen, both the speaker and the governor and Bill Galvano, who led the effort in the Senate side, these were folks that hadn't worked on any gun policy in their entire political career. And then this happened, and we were able to do something on a bipartisan basis to address gun violence. That's how it should be. I think Florida is a model for the country, and that's why bringing people back to that moment, so again they can see what it looks like, I think is very important.
I know after we finish talking here, you're going to go to a press conference with some of the Parkland families who are still fighting for different pieces of legislation going forward up there in Congress. What do you think is realistic? What is on the table in your mind, and where do we go from here? What do you think is achievable given a Republican House and a Democratic Senate by narrow majorities?
So look, I don't know the answer to that right now. I mean, we're constantly talking about it. We're constantly trying to find that middle ground, that little needle in a haystack to try to do maybe the one thing or the two things that we can get done in the 118th Congress. But look, my colleagues obviously across the aisle control the U.S. House right now. They have not shown that they're willing to do anything on gun violence.
Well, give me an example of a sensible solution that you think is reasonable that they might be willing to engage on.
Sure. I mean, I'd like to talk to them about doing more school safety, more SROs, more mental health counselors. And then I'd like to talk to them, quite frankly, looking at either red flag laws or 21. I think, those two pieces that are in the Florida bill is why the Florida bill is working. I mean, Jim, knock on wood, we know we're not going to prevent every single solitary issue. We can't prevent every hurricane, obviously, but we mitigate. Everything we do is mitigation, right? All the preparation in the beginning, all of the money and resources that we invest into response, that's what helps mitigate a hurricane. It's no difference here. We can do mitigation by passing these laws. And I'll say, look, yeah, it's 5 years later, but 5 years later, Jim, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas bill still remains completely intact in Florida. And so I'm trying to point out to my Republican colleagues that Republicans in a conservative state where it was completely controlled by Republicans, the entire cabinet, the entire House, the entire Senate voted for this, and they all returned. They got reelected, right? It didn't change the balance of power. Members didn't return. In fact, members got elevated. Richard Corcoran wound up in the DeSantis administration. Now he's running a college, right? Bill Galvano wound up becoming the Senate president. Carlos Trujillo wound up in the Trump administration, and all of the folks that were in line to become the next.
Rick Scott
became a U.S. senator.
Went from governor to be U.S. senator.
Yeah, and so telling that story is what I continue to do, because believe it or not, Jim, most people up here don't know that story. They don't know that the bill even passed and what was in it. They don't know that it was done by Republicans. They don't know about which Republicans, and they don't know that these Republicans suffered no political repercussions. They don't know that. And so I'm constantly trying to tell that story to soften that we can do stuff together. We're not going to have monumental change here overnight. Washington doesn't, pass big things right now, where it's not going to be a Hail Mary. But if we can move the ball 5 yards, 10 yards, that's going to save a tremendous amount of lives and children in this country.
When we come back, Democrats in Florida have been getting their butts kicked when it comes to registering new voters. In a moment, I talk to the chair of the Democratic Party in Florida about why that is and her plan going forward.